All right, welcome everyone here to our workshop. Today we're doing our communication toolbox, and I'm really excited to share this with you today. I'm honored to have the privilege to share this with you. This is my life's mission, is to share messages like this. And so without further ado, we're gonna jump right in. And why is communication so important in our relationships? We're streaming this live here into the Thriving Marriage group. And so I would love to hear from you throughout this workshop. We want to make it an interactive experience. So leave a comment, talk to me, let me know where you're at. It's all about communication. And so if you want help with communication, then let's make sure that we communicate, right? All right, I'm just bringing Mark in here in just a second. Hey, everyone, I can see some of you joining us now. Awesome. All right, Mark, can you hear me okay? We'll see if we get him here in just a little bit. I think he's having a bit of connection issues. All right, so communication. This is so crucial because so many times people come to us. You know, Mark and I, we have been doing this for years. We've helped save numerous thousands of marriages across the world. International marriage experts working with people all over the world, New Zealand, Australia, Ireland, UK, Canada, America, Europe. As long as you can speak English, then we're there to help you. And we found some really important commonalities in couples, things that pull them together and things that pull them apart or bring them back together. And so it's really important that when people come to us, they're often having struggles with communication. And I'll be the first to say that when my marriage is having a hard time, if Ben and I are in one of those lulls, then communication is always the first thing that kind of goes out the window. And understanding is one of the first things that goes out the window. And so people often come to us and they'll say things like this, like my husband, my wife, they're totally closed off. I can't get them to open up, right? It's like talking to a brick wall. They don't understand me. I don't understand them. If they're pulling away from the relationship, if they're talking about separation or divorce, then they're resistant to talking about the marriage. They don't want to go there. They say, I'm done. I don't want to talk about that. I'm not working on us. And it's like a closed door. And what happens here is that many people think that that's the end. And it's not the end. So today, we want to show you how to open up that communication and show you with people just like you. Their spouse says, I don't want to talk about the marriage. It's uncomfortable or it's tense. Maybe things blow up. Maybe they get very volatile very quickly, or maybe it's just really cold. Maybe there's a lot of apathy or just a lot of really that chillness between you two. Or maybe you can only talk about surface level things because those are the safe things to talk about. You could talk about the kids. You could talk about business kind of things. You could talk about, the other elements of family life, but you can't really talk about us, right? You can't talk about you and your spouse anymore. And so we want to show you how people just like that, even those in the divorce process, even if divorce papers have already been filed, we've been able to help them turn their communication around completely night and day by showing you a few things. And I want to preface all of this by letting you know that I want you to give yourself some grace, okay? Because this kind of communication that you're going to learn today isn't something that we're taught. It's typically not something that's modeled by our parents. It's not taught to us in school. We're not taught, oh, hey, if you and your husband have a disagreement over how to parent your children, here's how you should communicate about it, right? It doesn't happen. We're not taught it. It's not a college class that you can take. It's definitely not modeled in our social media or, in the TV shows that we watch. It's all about the drama, right? And the drama is what's interesting. However, we don't want our lives to be like that in reality. And so just because you haven't known these things up until this point, you should give yourself some grace about that. Because if you haven't known, then you haven't known. But now we're going to teach you some things. We're going to share this with you. And I want you to pay really attention to the aha moments that you have, the things that resonate with you, being really self-aware, even acknowledging, I've been making that mistake. I didn't know up until this point, and now I'm going to move forward and I'm going to start to do things a new way. As always, we want this to be about transformation, not just information. if I just wanted to shove a bunch of information at you the next 45 minutes to an hour and Mark here, then we could do that, but it's not going to lead to real change, which would be a total waste of everyone's time. So I want you to take a second here and commit to making some kind of positive change, to saying that the way that I've been doing things maybe hasn't been serving me the very best. So let's learn some new ways here. Yeah, so here's some comments here. How do you control your anger when trying to express the feelings that have been bothering you? That's powerful. Yeah, let's definitely cover that. And then here's another one. We can't even talk about the kids without the other woman on speakerphone with him, right? So that can definitely create some communication problems. And Mark, just chime in here if you can hear me and if you were connected. If not, we'll just keep rolling. All right, cool. So I wanted to use the analogy, and I've done this before, but we have so many new people in our group, and the Thriving Marriage community is just growing exponentially. We're one of the fastest growing online marriage resources in the world, which is fabulous. And so I really wanted to bring this home about the Negro, I'm not a Spanish speaker, and the Solominos rivers. I totally probably butchered that. And here is a picture of these two really powerful rivers, and they're both in the Amazon, and they join together, actually, the Negro and the Solominos rivers, to form the Amazon. So what we know as the Amazon is actually the merging of these two powerful rivers. They each have very unique paths, characters, and chemical compounds. As you can see here in this picture, one is like a really deep, beautiful blue, and the other is kind of like muddy orange brown. And so when these two rivers meet together, there is a chaotic turbulence, major upheaval on a chemical level. And you can actually see this when you see these two rivers merging. The colors are merging, the chemicals are merging, the sediments are merging, the temperatures are clashing, right? And it's really chaotic. But what happens is it creates a stronger, healthier river, which is the Amazon. And so the combination of this river and that river on their own, while they're great, you combine them together and they're even better and stronger. So I'm going to compare this to us. I actually got to see this on a very minor scale. Just last week, we were up at Mesa Falls in Idaho, and I got to see a small stream merging into a river. But the small stream had this really beautiful, clear, probably like snow melt water that was coming down off the mountain into the bigger river. And the bigger river was a little bit muddier. It was a little bit more sediment being tossed and turned. And you could see as these two little streams merged, or the stream merged into the bigger river, there was some chaos there. And so just like us in our relationships, we are two different, unique characters that are merging together in what we call a marriage, a relationship. And when these two merge, there is a level of chaos, a level of turmoil and upheaval. All right. And so how can we allow ourselves to become strong like the Amazon River, that becomes so powerful that it pushes fresh water out miles into the ocean? You can see here in the picture a little bit. I know it's really small, but it pushes fresh water out miles into the ocean, which deposits vital nutrients into the sea. And so how can we do this in our marriages so that we can become strong and better than even when we're on our own? And so I'm going to give a couple pointers here before we jump in to our toolbox and our communication conversation starters that we're going to go over today. But really just understand and embrace that there is turmoil when our two forces and our two perspectives meet. Like people sometimes say, my husband and I, my wife and I, were so different. Ben and I, we are so different. And I love that. I embrace that. I do not see that as a weakness or as a problem. I see that as an incredible strength. He came from a completely different background, country kid, huge family, very different perspective on life. I grew up in the city, and when our two perspectives meet, they often clash. And so it's important that we kind of embrace that instead of having this expectation that it always has to be smooth running, that the waters just need to flow placidly. If that were the truth, it would be boring. And so kind of embracing our differences, embracing even the turmoil or the chaos that can come, and knowing that it's actually healthy, it's actually okay. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? And that every marriage at some level has some dysfunction, and that's okay. We don't need to think that we have to be completely dysfunctionless, okay? So I think there's this expectation that marriage always has to be perfect, and we need to remove that, because then that creates even more chaos and disappointment, and those unmet expectations lead to unhappiness. So what we want to do is make sure that we remove any barriers that we've really created, okay, in between us and our spouse in our communication. So we're talking about, like, if you build a dam across the river, maybe one or both of you have completely closed off emotionally in your communication, in intimacy, in other areas. And so we want to be able to remove some of those barriers. Toxicity. If you or your partner are bringing a lot of toxicity into the relationship, that's going to create another barrier to your communication. Obviously, fire would be the opposite of smooth flowing water, right? Which would be like the contention and the adversary. Oh my goodness, I can't speak, sorry. And bringing a lot of volatility and contention and just the anger to a relationship. And then diversions, where you're taking what should be yours and diverting it to someone or something else, which is what we talked about a little bit in our podcast on Monday. So if you haven't heard episode 5, I really encourage you to go and check that out. And so the way that we're going to bridge all of these is we're going to increase understanding toward our spouse. I can see now that Mark is over there in the comments. For whatever reason, he isn't able to connect to this with the audio. And so Mark, if you want to try to join back in, I'll see if it works this time. But yeah, so I appreciate your comments, Mark, as you're helping people over there. All right, so let's dive in. Now, I'm going to start at a different place than we normally do when we're talking about communication. I was really thinking about this, and I was really praying about this, and I felt strongly that this needed to be shared first. And we're going to start with our self-communication. Self-communication. And yes, we are communicating even with ourselves. And because we know that we can only control what we can control, it's really important that we delve into this for a little bit. So I want you to ask yourself, and first I put this goofy little illustration here because I thought it was hilarious. I am the greatest bird ever. Like this affirmation that's so silly. But anyway, I really want you to check in with yourself and see, how do I communicate with myself? Because if good communication is wanted in a relationship, then the relationship with yourself is where it's all going to stem from. So how do I communicate with myself? If someone were to tape record your thoughts of the past hour or the past 24 hours, what would they hear? How are you talking with yourself? What kind of stories are going around in your mind? So let's go through that. What thoughts do I think about myself? What are the thoughts that I think about myself? Am I thinking, I'm not good enough? Am I thinking, I'm just really not cut out for this? Am I thinking, I'm too stressed, I can't deal with this, this is too much? Am I thinking, I'm not capable, I'm not intelligent? Am I thinking, I can do this, I've got this, I've done the hard things before and I can master this, I can move forward with this? Am I thinking, I'm so overwhelmed, I'm so stressed, I'm so hurt, I'm so angered, right? Those kind of things. What thoughts do I think about myself? And if you want to earn some bonus points here, I really encourage you to put them in the chat to be really self-aware. Or if you don't want to put them in the chat, that's fine. Maybe even just write them out or say them out loud, okay? Because imagine as if you could hear them on a tape recorder. How would they sound? So that you can really become aware of how you're talking to yourself. How are you thinking about yourself? Then ask yourself, would I talk that way to a friend, someone that I love and care for deeply? Would I talk that way to them? And if not, then maybe it's time to change the communication that's going on inside myself. If I want better communication outside myself, it needs to start with some better communication inside myself. For instance, have you ever met someone that just has such a hard time accepting a compliment, right? Or maybe you've been there yourself, where it's just like, oh, thanks, but I really can't accept that. And the way that they're feeling inside is that they can't accept it because they don't believe it themselves. It doesn't resonate. Whereas sometimes you give someone a compliment and they're like, oh yeah, thank you. I really worked hard on that project. I really gave it my all. Thanks. I appreciate you letting me know that. Because they've accepted that story themselves, about themselves, right? And so if we want to start to receive better communication from our spouse, then we need to start giving some better communication to ourselves first. If we want to receive unconditional love, then I need to unconditionally love myself. If I want to feel that I am good enough, that I am worthy, then I need to believe on an internal, deeper level, I am good enough. I am worthy. I am capable. I am intelligent. And not just the silly bird affirmation picture that I put up here, but on a core level that resonates with you and there's no resistance to that. It just feels true and you can accept it. And then in our communication with ourselves, do I focus on the negative or the positive? Now, you hear a lot about positive thinking, right? Oh, just think positive, right? Even Tony Robbins jokes about there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, right? And just ignoring the negative. That's not what we're saying at all. But focusing on the negative or the positive is going to greatly affect the outcomes that you have in your life. We all have so much energy and we all have so much time in our lives, right? And so it's really true that what we focus on grows. And the seeds that we're choosing to nourish are the ones that are going to be planted and eventually bear fruit. So to bring it full circle, it's what we focus on becomes our reality. So if you don't like the results that you see, if you look at your life right now, if you look at your marriage, and I've done this myself in good times as well as in the really hard times. And I'm I did not want this kind of relationship. I do not know how we got here. I don't know how it got so bad or so tense, and I feel so alone. I don't like these results. So if you don't like the results that you're seeing, then we need to start changing the story that we are telling ourselves. I know if Mark was here, which he is in the chat, he would say that language is really, really important. It's something that he and I pay attention to a lot, as well as the other coaches here at High Thrive Coaching. We really pay attention to the words that are used because words have power and words have meaning. And if you look at a situation and say, I'll give an example here. My husband's in love with someone else and he wants to end our marriage and leave me and our 4 kids. He doesn't want anything more to do with us. And if I tell the story, it's too little, too late. It's too little, too late. It's too little, too late. There's nothing I can do. Then what is the probability that I'm going to find a solution and get him back? Right? It's the whole idea of the self-fulfilling prophecy. And so I really encourage all of us to be very aware of the kind of language that we are using, the kind of stories that we are telling ourselves, the things that we are accepting as truth, because those things that we accept as truth will eventually become our reality. And if we don't like that reality, then let's start to tell a new story on a deeper internal level. It doesn't happen overnight, but over time, those things on the outside will start to change as well. And this is a huge foundational piece of our method that we do because it truly is about transformation. And we can't keep thinking the same things that we've always been thinking and expect to get different results. We can't keep doing the same things we've been doing and expect to get different results. We have to start thinking some new ways. We have to start doing some new things. So that's why I really wanted to bring this into the picture of this self-talk and how we are talking with ourselves and help us get some clarity. Okay, so we're like, okay, I want to change what I'm seeing. I want to change the results. I want to start seeing some new things. I want to start seeing a loving and affectionate spouse. I want to start feeling some safety in my relationship. I want to feel significant. I want to know that I'm important, right? I want to feel capable. I want to feel like there is hope. Any of those things. Now, how do we get there? So there are some really important questions here that I want you to take some time to answer for yourself. I can't give the answers to you. You're the only one that can answer this. And so I encourage you, if you don't have time right now, go back and go through these and really delve in deep. Write it out, think about it, meditate about it, pray on it, whatever that looks like for you. But what do I want to experience? So many times I talk to people that are so caught in their own pain. In fact, just the other day, I was on the phone with a gentleman who was just sobbing over his situation and caught up in so much pain and anguish and desperation. And I understand where that comes from. I understand that that's really natural to feel that way. But the trap is that we get stuck there. And we don't realize that we're so fixated on the pain and on the agony and on the desperation and on the fear that we aren't even asking ourselves, what do I actually want? We're so fixated on everything that we don't want. And those things just tend to then perpetuate. So pattern interrupt and ask yourself, what do I want to experience? Do I want to experience peace, or do I want to experience conflict? And that goes here with, how do I want to feel? Not just like logically say, oh yeah, I'm going to feel better, right? Or something like that. But how do I emotionally, energetically want to feel? Do I want to feel peace, or do I want to feel conflict? Do I want to feel joy? Do I want to feel anger? Do I want to feel peace, or do I want to feel pain? And when you ask yourself, you realize that you have the ability to choose. It doesn't mean that the circumstances change, but it does mean that the way that you look at them and the way that you feel about them is entirely in your control. And those things can change. Even in my hardest moments, even when it felt like it was impossible to keep going, there was always that choice. Do I want to feel fear, or do I want to feel hope? And every time that we choose to move in the direction of what we want, we find our power and we are able to bring it about. Who do I want to be? Another question for you to really sink your teeth into. Who do I want to be? This person that's talking negatively, tearing myself down, that's bringing myself and other people down, that's so stressed out, this person that's lashing out in anger, this person that's seeking revenge, this person that's scared out of their mind, doesn't know what they want to do or how to react, this person that clams up and withdraws out of fear and completely closes everyone off to try to protect themselves. Is that who I want to be? Is that really my true and best self? And I'm not putting any emotion down. I want to be really clear about that, because I believe every emotion is there to serve us and is there to guide us and to help us and there for a reason. But we don't want to get stuck in those things. And if we make some bad choices or some bad mistakes, we can choose to learn from them and move on and become the person that we really want to be. So this is your Mount Everest moment, right? Like, this is the biggest challenge that you'll probably ever face in your life when your marriage is struggling or when you're really working on your relationships. And so these are the moments that define us. What are we going to do with them? Who do I want to be? Not when it's easy, not when everything is going right and I can be the happy, kind, loving, courteous person I know I should be, right? No, it's in this moment right now when everything's the hardest and it feels completely unnatural, right? I want to go this one direction, and so now I'm going to choose a new direction instead. Does that make sense? I see your comments. Awesome. So who do I want to be? Who are you really? If I were to look you in the eyes instead of this webcam, and I was to say, Jessica, who are you really? Gloria, who are you really? Tom, Brady, I can see some of you there. Yeah. Who are you really? And at the end of your life, when you look back on who you are, who do you want to be remembered for? And how do you want to live with the own peace of mind in your own self that no one else knows? No one else sees that. Only you get to face that. Who do you really want to be? I want to be a strong woman. Beautiful. Yeah, that's it. I want to be a strong woman. And so as you start to tell yourself the new story and look for the evidence that it is true, and you make that choice, then that becomes your reality. I want to be an example to my daughters. Beautiful. All right, here is a beautiful quote that I found from Nichols, one of my favorites. And she says, if you focus only on what makes you angry or what shuts you down, you're putting energy around feeling angry and shut down. Compare this to positive language you can use, such as, what makes me feel better is. So we could say, okay, I'm really hurt by this. I'm really angry at this. I'm really disappointed in myself. What makes me feel better is knowing that I can try again, knowing that there are tools and resources out there and people that can help me to heal from this, knowing that even though my partner's hurt me deeply, that I can choose to forgive, that I can choose to understand. Okay, whatever that looks like for you. What inspires me is, what feels good to me is, think of the change in response that you will receive. The change and response that you will feel inside yourself. Here, and I'm adding to Lisa's quote, sorry. The change of response that you will receive inside yourself, in the way that you feel, in the way that others now will respond to you, and even how your spouse will respond to you as you act true to that real self. All right, now this is the part I wanted to bring Mark in for, because he's the best at this. But we'll just have to settle with me. All right, here are the 7 proven conversation starters to help you start to improve communication with your spouse. All right, now we call these starters because they really are just the beginning. And if communication is really closed off, then the most important thing that we can do to bridge that is to show some understanding and to have no agenda other than to understand our spouse. If you've been with us for a while, I talk about how there's a really important shift that has to happen here for communication to be its very most effective. There's a tendency when our spouse pulls away, or they want a divorce, or they say, I'm not in love with you anymore, or they say, I want out, or I'm done, I'm in love with someone else, right? That we get into fear and we get into anger. And when we get into the fear and anger, that's when the desperation comes out, right? We beg, we plead, we manipulate, we get angry, we push it back on them, we throw their vows in their face. I mean, I'm not saying you're doing any of these things. These are just really common things that we do see. Or we close off, we pull away to try to distance ourselves because we want to feel safe, right? But what happens is that all of those things only push our spouse further away. The most common one that we see, because most people that come to us want to work on their marriage and want to save it, is the desperation and the fear. And I'll do anything to get you back. And our partner senses that desperation, and that desperation doesn't feel safe. And so even if we're trying to do the right things, and oftentimes many people are doing what they think are the right things, right? It just pushes their spouse further away because they can still sense that fear and that desperation. And so before I go in and just give you the conversation starters, I really want to help us all understand the shift that has to happen internally when you're in a state of fear or a state of anger, a really high emotional state that most people stay stuck in, is that we need to get to a calmer and more centered state, which is exactly why we teach our mindset practices and we teach emotional processing, so that we can move through those emotions and get to a place where you get to, that shift goes from fear, manipulation, I want to get you back, to I'm okay. And I'm actually okay regardless of what happens in the relationship. I'm going to be okay no matter what. And I love this person and I care about them, but I'm okay. And when you make that kind of a shift, it takes all of the pressure off. Mark talks a lot about the pressure, right? That we want to take the pressure completely off the other person. Because if they sense any pressure at all, then that just feels like more manipulation and it only pushes them further away. Mark's got some great comments there. Beautiful. I think those are his, but I can't actually see. So go ahead and read his comments as I'm going through this because they're dynamite. And so it's getting out of the fear state, getting out of the anger state, and getting to a state of, I am okay, and I am good enough. I am loved. I am worthy just as I am, will shift that energy that you have. And then you can get to a place where I just genuinely want to understand you, husband or wife that I'm talking to, right? I genuinely want to understand you so that I can become a better person, and because I care about you. And if I could help you in any way, then I would want to, right? Can you sense the energy shift there from I'll do anything to get you back to I just care about you and I want to be a better person and I want to help support you if I can, right? There's no pressure there. It's just genuine understanding and care. And so as we go into these these conversation starters that are going to help to open up communication, because a lot of people are like, I have no idea how to say this. I have no idea what to say. Everything I do seems to be the wrong thing to do. And so we want to show you some proven things that will help to open up that communication. It's crucial that you do it from that state of genuinely wanting to understand them, because they will note the difference. Yep. And we go deeper into this more than what I can just do here in the workshop alone, but we definitely want to, we call it frame the conversation and make sure we come into it with the right intention, because that's going to dramatically affect the outcome. So before you go into a conversation with your husband or your wife, what is your intention? What is the outcome that you want? How do you want to act? How do you want to react? How do you want to sound? How do you want to look? How do you want to feel? Okay. And when you get clarity on that, then you'll know when you're on the right track or when you need to course correct and get back onto the right track. All right, let's dive in. So first one here is I've been having a problem with, okay, so insert your feelings. Like, I've been having a problem with feeling really annoyed every time you do this or every time this happens. Do you have suggestions on what I could do? Okay, so this is definitely an I statement. So you're not, it's really important that we don't put the blame on them, right? We don't say, you are making this feel this way. Every time you do this, this makes me have a hard time, right? No, that would be the opposite. So it's definitely more of a I am directed statement so that they don't feel threatened, okay? Which can help to open up some conversation there and some understanding on our spouse's side, and invite them to give us suggestions, which can oftentimes we have good intentions. Most people aren't deliberately trying to hurt and damage other people. Okay, and if we really understood why they were doing what they're doing, then we could have an immense amount of compassion for them, for what they've actually gone through that we didn't see or didn't understand up until that point. So this is Mark here. He says, especially working for our female clients, it gives the men a way to talk about feelings while feeling like they're helping, giving them a way to have a victory in the relationship. It's a really common, I don't know if you call it a stereotype or whatever, but that men often want to get into helping mode, into being the problem solver, and women often just want them to listen. So this question helps both, right? And so it gives men a way to talk about their feelings, which can help us understand what they're feeling, and vice versa. It always goes both ways. But it also helps them to feel like they're helping, which is why that is so powerful. And Mark's giving some right here. Sounds like some things you need to tell yourself. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. Resentment builds when I don't take care of myself. Others want me to be happy. So this is definitely part of that self-talk. That's really important. That happens first so that then you can move forward in your relationship and have the communication that you want. All right. Now here's the next one. It seems like you're feeling, insert whatever emotion, what's going on? And you could say, I just really want to understand you. And if I could support you in any way, then please let me know. Because I just care about you, and that's all. I'm not trying to get you back. No, don't even go down there, right? But this demonstrates that you were paying attention, sorry for the typo, to your partner, and tells them that they are important. This signals to them that you notice what is going on with them and that they are important to you, which helps to open that up. Next one, I've been thinking a lot about what you said the other day. I'd like to do something about that, or let's do something about that. So say your partner says, you just never listen to me, or you just aren't affectionate. I've asked you for years to do this and you're never going to change. Something like that, okay? You could say, Dan or Susie or whatever, I've been thinking a lot about what you said the other day about how I'm not affectionate and I'm never going to change. I'd really like to do something about that. Can you work with me on that? Let's do something about that, okay? So this works especially if there are strong emotions or large concerns expressed. It demonstrates that you are paying attention on what they said mattered. Again, I apologize for the typos. We're talking about communication and apparently I can't type. So anyway, when there's a lot of emotion going on, large concerns are expressed. If they throw out one of those surface level, we always call them the symptoms, right? I'm not in love with you. I'm in love with someone else. You never listen. You'll never change, right? This helps demonstrate that you're paying attention and that what they said really mattered. And then here, it seems like you're feeling blank. What's going on? Yeah. I'm really excited about whatever is coming up. What would you like to do while we're there? Okay, so this works if you have an event coming up together or something like that. If you're completely separated, obviously this one wouldn't apply, but you could let them know about something else that you're doing that you're excited about. When we share our vulnerability and we share things that are important to us, then that then allows the door to be open for them to share things that are important to them. And it may not be right away, it may happen eventually, but it shows that you are willing to be emotionally intimate. And this helps set the mood for an upcoming event. So say you have like a family event or a sporting event or some kind of weekend thing, right? Excuse me. It also involves them in choices surrounding the event and opens the conversation for options. So we were working with a couple that had a sporting event coming up that was really important to them and their kids. And she really wanted to make sure that he knew that his opinion mattered, that it was important to her, and it got him more involved. And so that's a really good example of how that works. It's important to me that you feel understood. The other day you mentioned, whatever it is that they mentioned, what did you mean? All right, who knows what this is? Ding, ding, ding. It's the golden question, and just rephrased a little bit of a different way. But can you see the beauty of this opening conversation starter? First, it's important to me that you feel understood. We crave understanding. We have all felt times when we were misunderstood, and it feels awful. If someone thinks, oh, wow, you're just such a self-centered, money-driven, prideful person, Heather, then I feel defensive and I feel hurt and I wish that they could see who I really am, right? And so feeling misunderstood is one of the worst feelings ever. We've all been there and we all crave understanding from others. And so when we show our partner, I want to understand you, that helps to meet their craving to be understood. There are really, all of us on that core level want to be understood. It's one of our highest human emotional needs. And so when you give that gift to them, it allows them to open up. And as they open up and share, you acknowledge that and you say, I appreciate you sharing that, right? And then that continues an upward cycle of building more understanding and creating more vulnerability and more safety. And it just continues to get better and better. So that's really how it looks like. This is one of the most important things. And then what did you mean? What did you mean? That's our golden question, which invites the other person to go deeper, demonstrates that you were listening, and shows that you are really interested in what they have to say. I'm just going to say here, so many times we think that we know what people mean. You said the other day that I never listen and I'm never going to change. Well, you must think I'm never going to listen, I'm never going to change. That means that you don't care about me and this, and this, right? We bring our own interpretation to everything and we just assume that that's what they meant when they said that. Okay, I'm going to go back to my friends Caleb and Dana. For years, she said, you're just not affectionate. You don't show me affection. And finally, he asked her, when you say that you want affection, what do you mean? Because he really didn't know. when we asked him, what does she mean? What does that look like? Right? And so then she was able to share. Well, it would be like holding my hand in public. It would mean putting your arm around me. It would mean giving me a hug. Like, I want more physical affection. That's what that looks like for me. And then, okay, what do you mean? Like, when we're out in public, do you want me to put my arm around you like this? I know it sounds kind of silly, but this is really important that he showed her that this was important to him. He wanted to understand her, and then she was able to share what that meant to her, and he was able to then do it and show her with his actions that he really wanted to meet that need. And then things have been completely changing for them, and she has agreed to start working on the marriage, which is fabulous. All right, let's go to the next one, which is be direct. I've been noticing that we seem to be having a hard time with, insert blank. Have you noticed this too? I'd like to work with you to solve this problem. Again, we're taking all the pressure off. We're taking any blame off. And this brings the concern out into the open when otherwise people dance around the issues, right? The elephant in the room. Instead of just being really upfront, being really direct. It may even help to describe your intentions here and what you're trying to accomplish in order to avoid misunderstandings. So I'm just going to give an example from my personal marriage, my personal relationship. And it's a little surface level, but I hope that you see the bigger picture here, right? So with my husband, I use this and I said, I've been noticing that we seem to have a hard time with communication around our families and expectations. Have you noticed this too? And he was like, yes, because I'm just distracted talking with my brothers. And then the next thing I know, you're really mad at me. I'm like, yes, that's true. And so why don't we work together to solve this problem? And so then we realized that I was feeling threatened by how he would talk late at night with his brothers, and I was feeling neglected because he wasn't helping me with the children, and I was feeling like my needs for sleep weren't being tended to, and that he cared more about his family than he did about me, okay? And so we were able to work through that and create an agreement that worked for both of us, that I could say, I need you for 15 minutes to help me put the kids to bed. Can you please do that? And then he would take a break from his brothers and come and help me put the kids to bed, right? So here is kind of a surface level thing. However, in my heart, it was hurting me because I felt like he cared more about his brothers than me. And so I didn't know what he really meant. He didn't know what I really meant. And we were both just kind of mad and tense at each other for several years over this. But when we worked together and showed understanding toward one another, that's when we were able to work on it as a team and really solve that problem. So you can use that in your relationship and however that looks like for you guys. Here's a question. What do I do if she doesn't want to talk to me about anything? So that's exactly what this is about. It is about showing understanding. I noticed that we're having a hard time talking about anything. Have you noticed that too? Can we work together on that, right? Asking some of these opening questions. When she says something like, I just don't feel comfortable talking to you, right then you say, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't feel comfortable? Well, you just don't listen, or you always snap back at me, or you always tell me what to do. Oh, okay. What do you mean? When you say I always tell you what to do, what do you mean? And it's not accusatory. It's just I want to understand you. So what do you mean? And as you continue to ask those questions, it will start to open up the conversation more and more and more. And the more that you take the pressure off, the easier it will feel safe for her to open up. It's important to me that you feel understood. Let's see. Oh no, we already did that one. Sorry. All right, the last one here. I really appreciated, enjoyed, loved, insert the positive experience here. It just really helped me to feel, insert a positive emotion here. I would really like to do something like that again sometime. When would you be free? What would you like to do instead? Would you want to change it up at all? Okay, so let's just take this back to the example I just got from the comment here. What if she doesn't want to talk to me about anything? And say you ask her, well, what do you mean that I don't listen? Or what do you mean when you say that I always try to tell you what to do, or I always belittle you, or I always make you feel small? And you shared that with me. You could say, you know what, Susan, I'll just say here, Susan, I really appreciated that you let me know that I belittle you every time or that you feel like I belittle you when we talk or when you share something. I just want you to know I appreciated you sharing that. It just helped me to feel like I understood you better, or it really helped me feel some clarity about this. It really helped me to feel like I know where you're coming from now. And I just wanted to thank you for sharing that with me. Okay, can you see right there that if you say I appreciate you sharing, even if it's still little surface level, even if it's, just barely getting things going, that's what it looks like. All right. And again, this is just really high level overview so that everyone here can find it applicable. But why we really have coaching is to go in deep with you and help you know, okay, here is an opportunity that you could have really opened up that conversation. We can even role play that with you. We can show you what that looks like. You know what? You mentioned that this is really important to her. Why don't we have a conversation about that? Why don't we open up something about this? And then you go and you do it, and you come back on your report, and we give you accountability and further feedback, and it continues to move you towards the results that you're really looking for. All right. So that's what this is all about. And this really here, like, I really appreciated, enjoyed, loved whatever that positive experience was. If they shared something, if they did open up, acknowledge that. What gets praised gets repeated. So praise every time that they open up, even just a little bit. Not like sillily so, that's not a word. Not overly so or unnaturally so. You have to do it in a way that feels natural to you. And that's true of any of these conversation starters, is make sure that it feels natural to you. Customize it to your personality and to what makes sense. But these are just some ideas for you to then go and apply. But this question right here, it really helps your partner to see some of the positive parts of the relationship. And like in this case with Susan, I just made up, right? Susan can say, oh, wow, he did actually like that I shared that. And she's going to feel a small amount of reward there. And then she's going to feel a little bit more motivated or incentivized or safe to do so in the future. And it gets them involved with planning another experience. So if you're doing an experience, then they can get involved in planning. You could say, I'd really like to talk like that again. Would you be open to that? Would you be free? Is there a time when I could learn a little bit more and I could gain some clarity here about what's going on, right? Maybe we could talk about something else instead. Is there anything else you would like to share? Something like that, but getting them involved in planning another experience. And this is also helpful when there are some amount of positive interactions, and it encourages more events like this to happen going forward. All right, so those are our 7. I feel like I'm just talking without Mark here. But I wanted to give a bonus here. And this bonus is kind of turning things around a little bit more to show that our spouse can help us as well on our journey to healing, happiness, and a positive relationship. But it's really important to know that they can't help us if they don't know what will serve us. Oftentimes we expect our partner, and I'm going to say a lot of times women do this, okay? Not always. We try to avoid gender stereotypes, but oftentimes as women, we think that our partner can just read our mind. They think, oh, if he loved me enough, he would just know that about me. He would just do that, okay? I've been there, I've done it, and I've seen so many of my female friends and family fall into the same trap. But men can do it too. We think that our spouse is a mind reader, and we think that they just know everything that we need. They just know what our needs are, and they just know how to love us and how help us feel loved, right? And so here we need to learn how to ask for what you need in a way that leaves our spouse not only feeling empowered to give us what we're asking for, but inspired to do so. Sounds too good to be true? It's not. I'll show you. All right, so we're going to ask for help with clarity that allows them to understand what brings us joy, peace, security, versus what brings us anger, pain, or fear. And I'm going to tell you something with absolute honesty. We have seen marriages on the very brink of completely ending, completely failing. And I would say 99% of the time, the person that's pulling away, the person that's having the affair, the person that wants the divorce, the person that wants out, still cares about that person. their husband or their wife on some level, right? And those feelings don't just completely go away ever, okay? And they are much more willing to help us than we realize if we can learn how to take the pressure off and show them what would help us. So here's how we do that. We're asking for help with clarity. This is actually going back to questions from the very beginning, but now we're going to share them with our husband or our wife. What I'd love to experience is, so Ben, what I would love to experience is just coming home and feeling safe. I would just love to experience that. And as you share that, that gives clarity for both of you on what gives you joy, what gives you peace, what gives you security. Now he knows and now you know, or now she knows and now you know, versus just fixating on all the things. I don't like it when you do this. I hate it when you do that. Why do you always have to da-da-da? You know, that just only perpetuates the anger, the pain, and the fear. So next one here is it helps me feel blank when you blank. I like this one a lot. So it helps me feel cared for when you pause your conversation with your brother and come help me with the kids. It really helps me feel cared for. It helps me feel important. It helps me feel protected. It helps me feel provided for, whatever it might be. And this is really powerful. This is a way that you can acknowledge the good behavior that they're doing and how it makes you feel. And again, what gets praised gets repeated. So good. I'm glad you like the bonus. Awesome. Where I need your support is, okay? Where I need your support. You could say in a non-pressure way, where I really need your support is in just feeling safe. I really need your support is just feeling like I'm going to be okay. Or I need your support is I need your support with the children, or I need your support with this. You know, no pressure. I don't need your support to come back to me and save the marriage right now, right? Because that's going to completely backfire. But allow this to be an opening experience. And as you share some of your vulnerability, that creates intimacy. And then what would work better for me is this. It would help me to experience this. It would help me to feel safer. It would help me to feel more joy. It would help me to feel happier about this, right? And so really showing what you want with clarity is not a threatening thing. And you need to know what it is first, which is why I gave you that assignment. That you need to know what you want to experience. You want to know what you need to feel and what you want to get out of life and who you want to be. You need to know those things first, because until you do, then it won't matter, right? You have to have that clarity. And then you can communicate that with your husband or with your spouse and allow them to help you to heal on your journey. And you can just say, look, I'm not doing this to try to get you back. I just simply want to be a better person. And this is what would help me. This would help support me as I move forward, right? And more than often than not, it really helps them to open up and be willing to do it. And you'll be surprised. Even the most bitter, cold, angry hearts can soften and can open up. And I've seen it time and time again, which is why I can say that. All right, so what stood out to you about these starters? What stood out to you about some of these mindset shifts that we talked about? What mistakes may you be making? And just be really honest about it. You know, I haven't been showing understanding. I've been caught up in my own mind, or I haven't known how to ask them the right questions up until now. I've been asking them all the wrong questions. Or maybe it is, you know what? I'm still in fear. I'm still in pressure. I'm still in manipulation. And I can see that it's only pushing them further away. I can see that now. And give yourself some grace. I haven't known up until now, but now I do. And so now I can move forward. And then which ones are going to help you the most right now? How do you commit to take action? What do you commit to take action to right now going forward that's going to help to improve your life and bring more joy and happiness, security, and peace into your life as well as your spouse's? So opening communication is the first milestone to the connection, and that will help your relationship be strong and thriving, just like that beautiful Amazon river. So honestly, these are just the beginning. I wish we had time to go into more of it. I wish that we could have had Mark here, but his comments were dynamite. So make sure you go back through those. Today, we didn't even get to talk about some of the insider stuff, like the number one mistake that's costing you your marriage, how to get your spouse to open up with our 3 restoration shortcuts, which will help you reconcile faster and restore hope for your marriage, even if it seems impossible. What conversation traps you want, oh my goodness, not you do want to get yourselves in, no. What conversation traps that you're stuck in that are keeping you stuck, and how to get out of those. And so without the full big picture, it's really hard. You won't be able to reconnect with your spouse and have the truly happy and healthy marriage that you want. And so here are just a couple of results I wanted to share with you. These are really recent wins. In fact, they're just from the last 3 or 4 weeks as I pulled them here from the group. As these people opened up communication for the first time in a very long time with their husband or with their wife. And so Jessica here shared that my husband called me at 12:30 last night. We talked for over 30 minutes. That's the longest conversation we've had in a long time. He said he wants to see something concrete. I told him, this is me, this is real, right? And then she says, keep giving us prayers as we work on us and our restoration. So here she's starting to meet that very first milestone. They hadn't had that kind of conversation and communication in a long time, but she applied these things and she was able to open up that communication to the point where now her husband actually called her, which is a huge win. So congratulations to Jessica. Angie, I saw another win from Angie today, but I didn't have room to fit it. Oh my goodness, you're on fire, girl. So she got the biggest smile that she's seen from him in a long time. He came to my office and we talked for a while, and he said, and he is so much more relaxed and at ease than he has been since before he left. So I really want to point out that he's relaxed and at ease as they're talking. So any tension, any coldness, any anger, any hostility or volatility, any of that has been replaced with being relaxed and at ease. Because I can guarantee you, Angie is making those shifts from fear and desperation and pushing her husband further away to now she's in a state that feels safer. She's showing understanding, and it's being reciprocated. You can see the results. He's now talking to her. He's coming to the office. He's got a big smile on his face, right? So there's major shifts that are happening as she's made the internal shifts that are allowing these external things to happen in her relationship. And Gloria, I think I saw you on here, Gloria. I'm going to share yours, some major wins here, that he had a really good day. You guys worked in the yard and talked a whole lot. And at the end here, she says, I felt closer to him yesterday than I have all year. What a wonderful feeling. And it is a wonderful feeling. Feeling like you have understanding, feeling like you have connection, feeling like it's safe to communicate is one of the very best feelings in the world. Mark and I were just talking on podcast on Monday or Tuesday, that feeling of I can be myself and I'm accepted is one of the very best feelings ever. And even if you're a really long way away from that right now, just like many of these students were at one point in their relationship, you can get there. You can do it. It is possible. It's not too late. And at the end of the day, it's all about becoming a better version of ourselves and learning these skills that honestly we just didn't have up until this point, so that we can learn to truly connect with people and have a thriving relationship. So this isn't an exaggeration. Really, truly, 100% of our clients that follow this process, if they follow it, if they do it, they are able to open up communication with their spouse. It's one of the results that we absolutely guarantee will happen in our program, because we want to make sure that communication is opened up and that we all learn how to get there, because it's so important, right? And so I just want to ask you right now, if this sounds familiar. I'm doing everything I can, but my spouse is still pulling away from me and our marriage. These are comments that I pulled from the group, okay? I'm trying to save my marriage. It's so emotionally draining. I'm exhausted. This is so hard. I pulled this also from a couple other groups I saw too. I'm exhausted all my options with counseling, books, and programs. And every time I try to improve things with my spouse, I get totally overwhelmed. Having a good marriage is a priority for me, but I have no idea what to do. I also heard it said this way: when I made my vows, I meant them. I don't know how we got so far away from them. I keep doubting if my marriage can really be saved. I'm afraid we're too far gone. I need a guiding hand from an expert who knows what we need to do. We can't afford to wait any longer, and I realize that we need help ASAP to turn our relationship around. Does that sound like you? Is that the kind of situation that you're in? Have you been going through the books and the counseling and all these different things and nothing seems to be working? Is your marriage important to you? Is it something that when you made your vows, you meant them? And you need to know how to turn it around. You need to know how to do it quickly because time's not on your side, right? Any of those thoughts sound familiar to you? You want to get your spouse back. You want to have that connection that I talked about, have security to feel safe in your marriage and build a steady future for your family. Be a good example to your children. Oftentimes, doing it alone is overwhelming and it's ineffective because, like I said at the beginning, we simply don't know what we don't know. And we haven't learned these things up until this point, but now we can. So what we need here, we need a plan of action and we need a system to follow, not just a bunch of random advice or beautiful Pinterest quotes, right? We need a system to follow so that we can feel confident in ourselves and how we communicate with our spouse and solve problems in the right order, right? Knowing exactly what skills are lacking and where we need to improve. So Mark and I, we have a path marriage coaching program, and it's radically different. It's radically different. If I had Mark here, I'd ask him to tell you how different it is, but it's very different than therapy because Mark came originally from the world of traditional therapy or any other self-help. And that's because it combines proven step-by-step phases where we custom help you with whatever the challenges are that you're facing in your relationship. Again, give you that accountability, give you that feedback. Okay, that conversation, it went pretty good. Here's where you can even improve it further. Or right there, you missed that point. Your spouse said something really crucial. Let's make sure that we pick up on that and show them that that mattered so that ultimately you can get the results that you want. And how it looks, this is what it, sorry. I am so tongue-tied today. I apologize. It's probably because I've been talking to toddlers most of the day. But how it works is like this, is that you're going to be coached personally if you join one of our one-on-one coaching programs by us international marriage experts and finally make progress towards restoring your marriage with a plan, accountability, and actionable feedback. And another really important element of this program is that you get to connect with other people going through it just like you, other people that are working to restore their marriage. And in our group strategy sessions, our group coaching sessions, you get to learn from the advice our coaches give to others in the tribe. And this is just so powerful. It's incredible how much we can really learn from one another and the incredible support that is given. And here's a comment here. It's very different. Yes, it's very different and it's effective. We don't limit you to just 1 hour session a week. No, we give you everything that you need to make sure that you get the results that you're looking for. And so we give you, again, that customized action plan. It's not just a single plan. It's like an ongoing process to help you make progress on the unique challenges in your relationship. And then you get one-on-one feedback calls, again, giving you that accountability and ensuring you progress, and those group coaching calls that are so, so powerful. And so if you want to join that program, if that resonates with you and you're like, yes, I don't want time to waste, then go join us over at highthrivecoaching.com/apply. And you can schedule a free breakthrough call with us where we can determine exactly what the next best steps for you are and what program is the very best fit for you, because it's not a one size fit all. We really customize it to you and your unique needs. Now, this is a multiple $1,000 investment, and we know that that's not for everyone. And we didn't want to be able to leave those who couldn't do that right now without help because we know that the PATH coaching program, the PATH method works. And so we're really excited because we're going to be opening doors again soon for our proven live PATH course. This is combining an automated course with actual live training and ability to come on and ask questions, just like Mark's here, except he won't be chatting with you. He'll actually be talking with you in the training videos. And you have as well, all right, here we go. Live course with real coaches, my beautiful slide, I have to use it, the powerful mastermind community that's so supportive and gives you guidance and help, and a powerful sounding board. And then you're also going to get 2 bonus coaching sessions. What these are is they're full 45-minute coaching sessions with a coach. And the first one is our deep marriage analysis. And your coach will work with you to uncover real challenges in your relationship and what the root issues are that have led to these challenges. You'll create an action plan on the best steps to take next. And here, ding, 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 you will know how to open and improve communication and understanding with your husband and your wife. So that's what you get in the first session. That's what you're going to go deep into. And then the session 2 is we're going to use that marriage analysis to review your progress with you from session 1 and how you implemented your action plan. And then your coach will guide you on what steps to take next to solve the root issues in the relationship so true healing and progress can be made. No, you're not going to solve them completely in 2 sessions, but it's going to be the start. Our one-on-one coaching clients, like I talked about with the Path coaching program, they get around 12 to 20 sessions. So these are the very first 2 sessions that they get. And if you want more of the coaching, you can always opt in to continue the coaching and get that. And here you'll know what direction is best to go to have the happy and healthy relationship that you want. So like I said, you get the first 2 sessions that any of our one-on-one clients ever go through as a completely awesome bonus to our Live Path course. And we are going to be having the Live Path course doors reopen here in about a week. So make sure you look out for that. If you know that you want one-on-one coaching now, if you know that you don't want to wait and you want guidance of an expert right away, you don't want to wait for Live Path, then I encourage you again to go and book a call right away, and you get Live Path for free as well as all the bonuses. So I just want to let you guys know the exciting news that we're opening doors again, and to keep your eyes out for that. I appreciate all of your time, and I appreciate you guys joining me today. Oh yeah, sorry. The 2 bonus coaching sessions are worth over $600. Woo! All right. And so again, thank you. And thank you to Mark for your wonderful support and guidance over there in the chat. So we appreciate you all. And again, if you want to book a free call with us, you just go to highthrivecoaching.com/apply. Above all, I encourage you to go back and listen to your intuition. Think about the things that stood out to you the most. Think about who you really want to be. What stories are you telling yourself? How are you communicating with yourself? Get clarity on the results that you want to see, the life that you want to experience, the marriage that you want to have, who you really want to be at the end of the day. And as you start to change that internal story, the external results will start to change as well. I appreciate you, and we will see you all soon.